Hello Year 9, this is a NAPLAN numeracy mini test and it's advanced level. It's the second in the series. I wonder how you went with the very first one. Do you feel that they're getting a little bit harder? Leave a comment if you like and let me know which questions were the more difficult ones. Alright, our first question in this series is a ratio one. We've got 28 students in a class and the ratio of boys to girls is 5:2. And always remember that it's important to know whether it's boys to girls or girls to boys. Boys refers to 5, girls refers to 2. Now this question would not be a problem if it wasn't for the fact that they added that 2 more girls joined the class. Now with 2 more girls joined the class, please don't add that to the girls section so it becomes 5:4, okay? It's definitely not 5:4. We have to first figure out how many boys and how many girls are there of the 28 students. So if we've got a ratio of 5 boys to 2 girls, then that makes it altogether how many students? 7 students, okay? Now what we want is 28 students. So to make 28 students, what do you have to multiply 7 to get to 28? We would need to multiply it by 4. In that case, we will also need to multiply the 2 girls by 4 and we will have 8 girls. And if we multiply 5 boys by 4 as well, then we will get times 4, we will have 20 boys. So our ratio is 20 boys is to 8 girls. That way we get this 28 students. Now here's that new line that we have. 2 more girls joined the class. If 2 more girls join the class, then we have to add 2 girls in here, okay? So if we have 2 girls now here, altogether we've got 10 girls and we still have the same amount of boys. That still altogether will give me 30 students now because we've got more students. So what's the new ratio of boys to girls? 20:10 is the same thing as saying 2:1. And we just highlight the D. The price of a television was $600 and you can see that I like decorating my maths with pictures. Now it also said that during a sale, this price was reduced by 10%. Another way of saying that is sometimes they say less by 10%. Now when you hear the word less, you sort of start associating subtraction to it. And there are 2 answers there with a subtraction in it. 600 take away 10 and also 600 take away 0.1. But there's also a 600 multiplied by 0.1 and 600 multiplied by 0.9. One way of thinking is that you can say, okay, well, at 10% of 600, if you're quick, you might know that, oh, that's just $60. So it will be 600 take away 60. But there is nothing like that here. It's got 600 take away 10 and this bit over here, 0.1. So it's not one of those. It must be either C or D. So because the percentage to pay is 100% minus 10%, which is 90%. So in that case, you're paying 90% of the television. And if you look at it this way, then 90% of 600 is the same thing as saying 90 over 100 times 600, which is the same thing as saying, cross that, which is the same thing as saying 9 over 10 times 600, which is the same thing as saying 0.9 times 600. Okay, they have it 600 times 0.9. Makes no difference, but that will be, the answer will be D. Which two numbers multiply to negative 18 and add to negative 7? Now, I've got to say that this is not very hard. We need to find factors of negative 18. So we could have minus 1 times 18, and we could also have 1 times 18. What about 2 minus 2? Minus 18. Minus 2 times 9, or 2 times minus 9. Then we could also have 3 times, or minus 3 times 6, or 3 times minus 6. Well, that's it. 4 doesn't go into 18, 5 doesn't go into 18. So these are the numbers. Now, what about if I add them together? So minus 1 plus 18 is going to give me 17, and 1 take away 18 is going to give me minus 17. Now that's not minus 7. What about minus 2 plus 9? That'll give me 7, but 2 minus 9 will give me a minus 7. And I found my answer. So the two numbers that when multiplied and added together give me minus 18 and minus 7 are 2 and minus 9. This question tests your ability to know what a root is. Let's say, for instance, I've got 9. That's the same thing as saying that I've got 3 times 3, which means that it is 3. So now ask yourself, if you've got 0, let's go backwards, 0.1 multiplied by 0.1, will it give me this particular answer here? So you need to know how to multiply decimals. If I multiply these decimals, 1 times 1 is 1, and because I've got 2 spaces after the decimal place, there's a space here, there's a number there and a number there, I need to go back 2 spaces. So I will need to go 1, 2 back. Make it a nice 0. So which means that I've actually have 0.01, which happens to be exactly the answer. Well, that's it. But let's just check how would the others come up, okay? So if I went to the B and I did 0.01, multiplied it by 0.01, I have to move my decimal place 4 places. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so my answer would be this, and that's not what I want. I could try C now, which means 0.001 multiplied by 0.001, and that would mean that I would have to move back 6 decimal places. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'll have 5 zeros in front of me. It's no good. And if I did D, which has got 1, 2, 3, 0.103 zeros. Okay, that's 4 decimal places, altogether 8 decimal places. So I would need to go back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 places. So these are my zeros here. Okay, All right, so none of these will be correct. All right, not this one nor that one. The correct one is the very first one, and we'll just give that one a highlight, A. First of all, let me write some prime numbers for you. Okay, I just wrote some prime numbers for you, 2, 3, 5, 7, and 11. They're not just odd numbers, they're prime numbers. And one thing that you straight away notice with our question is that the very first one has a 4 in it. Now that's not a prime number, so that's a bit tricky, because if you multiply 3 times 4 times 5, you do get 60. But this is not a product of primes. So the next step you can do, if you don't know how to do it, you can just multiply them now and find out whether that is 60. Or you could do it by dividing by primes. So I'll take 60 and I'll divide that by 2 and I'll get 30. Then can I divide it by 2 again? Yes, I can. So I will divide it by 2 and I have 15. Can I divide it by 2 again? No, I can't. I go to the next prime number. Can I divide it by 3? Yes, I can, and I'll get 5. And so the last one is I can only divide it by 5. So my prime numbers that are product are 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 5. And that is C. To work this question out, we need to compare all the numbers, and they need to be under the same denominator. So we choose, out of all of those fractions, we'll choose 30 as being the largest denominator, and then we'll see whether the other denominator numbers go into 30. Does 3 go into 30? Yes, it goes 10 times. Does 5 go into 30? It goes 6 times. And does 10 go into 30? It does 3 times. So that means that now we can compare them by changing those fractions. So 1 over 3 is now going to be multiplied by 10 up in the denominator and in the numerator, and we'll get the number 10 out of 30. 2 out of 5, we'll multiply that number by 6 and by 6, and we'll get 12 out of 30. And the last one is 3 out of 10, and all we have to do is multiply it by 3 and by 3, and we get 9 out of 30. Now, of course, in the last one, we don't have to do anything with that one because it's already out of 30. That's 11 out of 30. So now we start, which is the largest value. All we have to do is give one value, the largest value. And the largest value, of course, is going to be 12 over 30, which means 2/5. So we'll just multiply that by, we'll just highlight 2/5. So here we go. Okay, there's 6 more questions in this advanced level. So I'll do this in the next video. But I'd love to know which ones were the hardest and which ones were the easiest for you, and how do you feel about them? Just write your thoughts in the comments below.